Well, good afternoon, Central Georgia. Hopefully you're having a great day so far. We have a multitude of different winter weather alerts and warnings for our area for this upcoming weekend. So there's a lot to unpack. It's a very tricky forecast. So I'm going to go more in depth with this upcoming stream. And going more in depth, let's go full screen just to show you the headlines. So here are the headlines for today. A small sprinkle chance. We had some isolated sprinkles, especially for south central Georgia today. That's going to continue over the next couple of hours. Now, of course, the big story, everyone has been talking about this for the past week, our third weekend in a row with winter weather chances. And it's looking likely that we'll have some snow in some spots tomorrow. The certainty is high that we'll have lingering snow for places more towards the northeast, which are currently under a winter storm warning. So I'll go over the details of that warning coming up. Then, of course, another story for this upcoming weekend is the feels like temperatures being near zero on Sunday. And of course, we're going to be in an extended period of below freezing temperatures, which could put some strain on your pipes and, of course, your plants. So, of course, we have that weather impact alert, not only for the snow, but because of the frigid, brutally cold temperatures throughout this upcoming weekend. This is going to begin Saturday morning, linger all throughout Saturday and into Sunday morning. The snow is going to be reserved for tomorrow only. And it looks like the last of the snow should last until the evening hours. And then by Sunday morning, we're going to be completely dry. However, with the wind gusts and the cold temperatures paired together, feels like temperatures should once again be into the single digits, potentially near zero in some places, especially in far north central Georgia. And of course, morning lows will be into the mid-teens. So we're going to be into a hard freeze, which is going to be very important to protect the 3 Ps, pets, plants, and of course, your pipes. Looking at all the 4 sky cameras across central Georgia, another cloudy day. Current temperatures right now in Perry, 54 degrees. Now enjoy the mid-50s while you can, because starting tomorrow, we're going to be below freezing once again for an extended period of time. So the cold temperatures that we're going to feel this weekend are going to make the 50s that we are feeling right now feel more like a beach day in Florida or a nice summer day, even though these temperatures are currently below average for this time of year. And checking out all the current temperatures all across the area, the Arctic air, which is eventually going to sag down towards the south in our neck of the woods, is still parked farther towards the north in places towards the Midwest and into the Great Plains. Seeing Kansas City still into the upper teens, mid-teens in St. Louis, lower 20s in Indianapolis. Slightly warmer places farther down to the south, even though it's still very cold. Around freezing in Nashville, seeing mid-30s in Little Rock. And then we are currently within a stalled boundary of 2 different air masses. So we have warm air still settling into our area. So Macon seeing temperatures into the mid-50s. Actually, a better description of the air would be mild air, even though it definitely feels very warm as compared to what we're going to experience throughout the weekend. And then we'll see the colder air still lingering for north central Georgia, seeing upper 40s in Rome and in Athens as well. But eventually, once we get into the next 24 hours, that cold air will get into our area in central Georgia, and we'll start to see some frigid temperatures throughout the weekend. Temperatures right now locally, we're into the lower to mid 50s, even seeing some upper 50s down towards the south in Telfair and Wheeler County. Wind gusts are calm. Now, I've been telling you to enjoy the mild temperatures, enjoy the calm winds as well, as we could have some strong winds over the next 2 days, which would also factor into the very low wind chill values that we're going to experience on Sunday morning. So thankfully, winds are calm right now, manageable, seeing sustained winds at around 3 miles per hour to 8 miles per hour, not seeing any strong wind gusts as well. So it feels like temperatures are tame. They're actually reflecting what the actual temperatures show, seeing wind chill values into the mid to lower 50s, but this is going to dip real quickly, especially once we get into Sunday morning. Satellite radar shows mostly cloudy weather, and if we zoom the picture and remove the clouds, we're seeing some light rain and some isolated showers for far south central Georgia, and also more south in the Peach State as well. So near the Georgia and Florida border along I-10, also seeing some signs of some isolated showers and even some wintry mix in the far northern Georgia area. Now for today, it's going to be mostly cloudy. A light shower or two is possible, very isolated in nature. I'd say most places are going to be dry for the rest of today, and our afternoon highs will be into the mid-50s. Enjoy it while it lasts. Wind chill values are also going to be tame. Wind chill values should be into the lower to mid-50s as well. But once we get into the early morning, we'll have around freezing to below freezing wind chill values. So here's a look at the future view, and I mentioned the chances for isolated showers are going to continue over the next couple of hours, and then we'll be mainly dry throughout the rest of the evening and night. And then by tomorrow morning, that system and that moisture is going to eventually sag down towards the south. Combine that with colder air, and that's where our snow chances are going to begin, especially around 8 to 9 o'clock, where temperatures are cold enough for snow to form. And then that band of snow is going to linger for places far towards our east and northern areas for the rest of the evening. It looks like places farther towards the west, so west of I-75 and south of I-16, are not going to see much snow. And if they do see snow, it'll be a lot more short-lived as compared towards places such as Putnam, Hancock, and Washington County. Now here's a closer look. That was more of a broader view of the future view. This is the closer look, also showing temperatures. And let me zoom back. There you go. So starting Saturday, potentially even to the mid-morning by 5 to 6 o'clock, could see some flurries and light snow showers for our northern counties such as Jasper, and even Monroe County could see some flurries. Macon receiving some light flurries as well throughout this time. But that main band of snow is going to be confined for places north of I-16 and east of I-75. So places such as Baldwin County, Hancock County, Washington County, even Wilkinson County and Johnson County, Putnam County could see lingering constant snow throughout much of tomorrow. So this is the reason why snowfall totals are predicted to be higher in these areas as compared to places farther west and farther to the south. Notice when we get to 4 or 5 o'clock, still snow falling in places such as Milledgeville, Eatonton, Wrightsville, and even Irwinton. Seeing Dublin receiving some light snow throughout that time. And then we get into 8 to 9 o'clock, the snow will eventually head off towards the east and will be dry, and we'll start to see skies clear up once we get into the late night. But notice here, temperatures are going to plummet to the teens, and then we're going to see our lowest temperatures Sunday morning at around 7 should have morning lows into the mid to upper teens. But sneak peek, wind chill values are going to be a lot lower than that. So that was the future view graph model. That's the main short range model that we use. Here's a look at the other short range model that we also use. This is called the high resolution model, and it shows more of a widespread picture. So if you're watching from Macon and Warner Robins, and if you're really rooting for the snow, this is the model for you. So this is the high resolution model showing more of a widespread band of snow coming as far south as places such as Dodge and Telfair County, showing Macon receiving some light snow for a long period of time throughout the late morning and even into the early afternoon, showing even some flurries and light snow for places far west in central Georgia, west of I-75, and showing that consistent snowfall for places farther towards the northeast as well, ending around the same time as the other model at around 7 to 8 o'clock, and then clearing up throughout the overnight. Here's a look at the long-range models. This is the GFS model, and it shows nothing for places such as Macon and Warner Robins, only showing snow for our northeastern counties, such as Baldwin County, Washington County, Hancock County, parts of Jones County, Johnson County, Wilkinson County, and even Lawrence County, Trutland County as well included with that. So that's the GFS model. This is the North American model, showing the same thing. Consistency is there with snow falling for northeast and east central Georgia. This one shows places farther south receiving some action, such as Wilcox and Telfair County. Macon only receiving some short-lived light showers and some flurries throughout the morning and afternoon, but not showing much in terms of accumulation. This is the Euro model, showing the same thing. Snow for northeast central Georgia and some light snow and even some flurries for Macon and Warner Robins. Places farther towards the west of I-75, not receiving anything at all. And then clearing up by Sunday morning. So that's the look at all of our different models. And because of the consistency of snow falling for northeast central Georgia, confidence is high that they'll see some decent snowfall totals. This is the estimated snowfall totals by our graph model, and it shows values up to 4 inches of snow for places such as Putnam, Hancock, and Baldwin County. Now, I'm not going to say that I truly believe this, but it just goes to show the trend of higher snowfall totals for places more towards the northeast, and then less snowfall the more west and south you go. This model shows only a ½ inch of snow in Macon, and even less than that for places such as Warner Robins and Cochran and Eastman. So around 1/4 inch, which would be equal towards dusting or a trace amount of snow. It wouldn't be enough to even cover your front lawn. And it also shows places such as Cordele, Montezuma, and Abbeville not receiving anything at all. So this is not set in stone, but the overall trend is that, once again, higher accumulations farther towards the northeast, lower the more south and west you go. So because of the certainty of snowfall and decent accumulations for our northeastern counties, those areas are within a winter storm warning. So specifically places such as Jones County, Jasper County, Putnam County, Baldwin County, Hancock County, Washington County, Wilcox County, Lawrence County, Trutland County, and Johnson County are within that winter storm warning. So they could potentially see snowfall totals up to 1 inch to 3 inches, and maybe locally higher amounts the more northeast you live. So far northeast, Hancock County and Washington County could see some locally higher totals. And then notice places more towards the west, so including Macon and Warner Robins, specifically Bibb, Houston County, Bleckley County, Dodge County, Twiggs County, Pulaski County, Telfair County, Wheeler County, Montgomery County, Monroe County, Crawford County, and Upson County. They are within a winter weather advisory, which is a step below the winter storm warning, meaning that totals could reach 1 inch, but that's the highest potential in which they could receive. Realistically, I'd say areas within the winter weather advisory would receive, I'd say, ½ inch to even lower than that. I'm actually less optimistic on the total snowfall amounts for Macon and Warner Robins, because you may have noticed on the different models, it was a consistent band of snow falling for our northeastern counties within that winter storm warning, but we only saw some short-lived snow showers for places within that winter weather advisory. So in my opinion, I'd say snowfall totals, I'm going to go more on the conservative side, ½ inch or less. So if you're watching from Macon and Warner Robins, my opinion, my forecast, I don't think we're going to see much in total for tomorrow. So here's the forecasted snowfall accumulations. I'd say 1 to 3 inches of snow is going to be very possible for places within that winter storm warning. Places within the advisory, including Macon, Warner Robins, and Forsyth, could see trace amounts to high end 1 inch at most. But realistically, I think we'll see closer to ½ inch or less than that. And then even less amounts for places far towards the west and south, such as Taylor County, Macon County, Dooley County, and Chris County. I don't think they're going to see anything. Maybe a couple flurries, but I think the chances of any accumulating snow are going to be very low. Now, the reason why we have a very sharp cutoff between decent snowfall accumulations versus lower to even zero snowfall all depends on how much moisture we're going to receive in our area. And this also is due to a low pressure system. Now, this low pressure system is going to be the main driver of moisture for even snow chances to develop. We have the cold air in place. We know the cold air is going to go farther south once again, but we need that moisture to interact with the cold air for snow to form. So the reason why places farther towards the northeast have higher chances of seeing snow is because the moisture is going to be more prevalent in those areas, but the more farther west we are, the less the moisture is going to be there for snow to form. And this is because that low pressure system is expected to be off the coast of the Atlantic. So places farther towards the west are just going to be farther from the center of that low pressure system. Now, snow isn't the only thing that we're talking about for this upcoming weekend, because once we deal with the snow, then we have to shift our focus towards extremely cold temperatures. And this is exactly what we're under in terms of a warning. We're under an extreme cold warning. All of central Georgia is within this warning. And the reason why is because we could see wind chills in the single digits. And we saw wind chills in the single digits Tuesday morning. However, I'd say it's going to be even lower than that. Some places, especially in far north central Georgia, such as Jasper, Putnam, and Jones County, they could see feels like temperatures closer to 0 degrees. So this warning is going to start Saturday evening and run all the way through Sunday afternoon because of the potential for extremely cold temperatures. So I'm going to show you the future view temperatures just to show you when we're expected to enter a very long period of below freezing temperatures. Starting at around 11 to midday tomorrow, temperatures are going to be below freezing. And once we get into below freezing, we're going to stay below freezing for a very long time. Notice tomorrow evening into the mid-20s, staying in the 20s until Sunday early morning. And then by that time, we'll get into the teens. And we're forecasting our lows to be into the mid to upper teens, staying into the 20s and lower 30s throughout the rest of the morning. And then eventually, once we get into the afternoon, temperatures will once again return back to above freezing. So those are the forecasted temperatures, but we have to factor in the winds because the winds are also going to be very important towards the forecast, not only for wind chill values, but for the snow as well. And here's why. Once we get into tomorrow, we could see gusts of up to 20 to even 30 miles per hour. And this also shows values closer to the mid to upper 30s, especially down towards the south. So if this is correct, we're going to have some of the most windiest weather that we've seen in a while. I know the past 2 weekends have been quite windy, but this will be a little bit of a notch ahead of that. And combine that with the snow, we could see some very low visibilities because that wind could pick up all of that powdered snow and could decrease the visibility. So we know we're talking about the potential for snow to freeze over with these below freezing temperatures. But if you're planning to drive in those areas within that winter storm warning, especially throughout the snow, it's going to be quite hazardous, almost impossible to drive because all of that snow is just going to blind you. It's going to cause extremely low visibilities. You will not see anything at all, especially once you're driving. Could see blizzard-esque conditions farther towards the northeast. So factor in those winds throughout tomorrow, and then we get into Sunday morning, still gusty at around 20 to 25 miles per hour. Well, those feels like temperatures are going to be extremely low. By tomorrow morning, seeing feels like temperatures into the mid-20s. Getting into the afternoon, we'll start to see feels like temperatures into the teens, and then single digits by tomorrow evening. Once we get into Sunday morning, well, that's where things get quite extreme. Notice feels like temperatures are expected to be around 4 degrees in Macon, 6 degrees in Dublin, and even lower than that the farther north you live. Atlanta showing a feels like temperature at around 0 degrees. So it's going to be colder than what we experienced on Tuesday. Some of the coldest air that we've seen in a while. Honestly, colder than any of the stuff that we experienced last year. Now, I mentioned that once we get into Saturday afternoon, we're going to be in an extended period of below freezing. Specifically, we could see up to 40 to 20 hours straight of below freezing temperatures throughout the upcoming weekend. So because of that, pipes and your plants could see some major strain throughout the upcoming weekend because of this hard freeze for such a long time. Now, in terms of the temperatures being below freezing as well for an extended period of time, that snow could potentially stick to the roads, just like last year where we had that winter storm occur and we had that snow and slick conditions throughout the 24 hours after the arrival of the snow. So roads could be messy, especially for places farther towards the north and towards the east. So it's going to be very important to drive with caution. If you need to drive in those places with snow accumulations, drive with caution because around 70% of snow and ice related injuries occur with automobiles. So if you're going to drive, please leave extra space and have room for you to brake with caution. Don't slam on the brake or make any sudden movements because that's how cars most typically hydroplane. So here's one final look at the weather impact alert. So this is throughout tomorrow into Sunday morning. The potential for snow showers, also the extremely cold temperatures throughout Sunday morning. So the needs stay up to date. Please drive with caution. And when it comes to the extended period of time of below freezing temperatures, protect your pipes, plants, and pets. I'd say just do all those precautions later tonight before you go to sleep or by tomorrow morning if you're going to wake up early. And then here is the 7-day forecast. I think this is a little bit outdated. Yes. So when Ben Jones comes in, he's going to have a more updated 7-day forecast. But once again, I'm going to leave it with this graphic right here, the weather impact alert. Snow showers and frigid cold throughout the upcoming weekend. So I'm going to spend the next 8 minutes answering any questions on Facebook. I need to live somewhere tropical. I agree. A nice Florida vacation would sound nice. I must drive to Atlanta tomorrow around 5 p.m. Will the roads be okay? Depends on where you live. Honestly, I'd say drive with caution or maybe cancel that trip because also Atlanta may see snow as well. So even though places farther towards the west have decreasing chances of snow, there's the potential for Atlanta to see some road impacts as well. So how much snow in Dublin? Let me pull up the forecasted snow map. Warner Robins isn't in the snow area, correct. So Warner Robins, they're in an area where I don't think you'll see any significant snowfall. I'd say realistically, I'd say you're going to see a half an inch of snow or just pure flurries. High end, best case scenario, an inch of snow. Milledgeville is expecting more snow. So Milledgeville, the certainty is high that you're going to see up to 1 inch to 3 inches of snow. How much snow do you think downtown Gray area will get? I think downtown Gray area, best case scenario, 1 inch, maybe a little more. Realistically, I'd say half an inch, maybe a little bit more than that, but maybe half an inch. So nothing really impactful. When should the snow begin to start in southwest Washington County? Let's take a look at the future view. So southwest Washington County should see it in the late morning. So potentially by 8 o'clock in the morning, seeing more consistent snow by 11 to midday. What about Haddock? Could you say the county in which you live in? I don't know if I recognize that town. So for Dublin, I'd say you'll see around half an inch to 1 inch of snow. but there is a chance that you could go lower than that. But don't expect much of anything. Don't expect anything close to what you received last year. Who is a part of the warning? Sorry, I missed it. Yes, here is the warnings. So the warnings is for east and north central Georgia. So places within that warning is Jones County, Putnam County, Jasper County, Baldwin County, Wilkinson County, Washington County, Hancock County, Johnson County, Lawrence County, and Treutlen County. So I think Dublin could be around an inch of snow. Haddock is Jones County, in between Milledgeville and Gray. Okay, so Haddock, you'll have the higher chances of snow. I think you'll see up to an inch of snow, maybe even a little bit more, especially if you're closer to Milledgeville. Statesboro, you have the potential of seeing snow. You are within that winter storm warning, so certainty is there that you'll see an inch to 3 inches of snow. After the snow, how long will the black ice stick around? By Sunday afternoon, that's when the ice and anything that accumulates should melt. So once again, places in Haddock should see higher snowfall totals. So up to an inch to 3 inches. If you live south in the southern parts of Jones County, so if you live closer to Macon, you'll see a lower snowfall totals as compared to places farther towards the north. So that one girl who said Haddock, she had a good chance of seeing snow because she's closer more towards the northeast where snowfall is a lot more certain in those areas. And then Dodge County, since you're in the winter weather advisory, the chances are there that you could see some accumulating snow, but I don't think you'll see much. I'd say half an inch to an inch, just like Warner Robins. And then there's also a chance where you could see nothing. It all depends on where that moisture is, and we know that moisture is going to be for northeast central Georgia. So for places within that winter storm warning, the question is that moisture going to go farther towards the west and for the south? And it looks like models are saying no. So Dodge County, I wouldn't expect much. The timing of this should be in the mid to late morning tomorrow, so by 8 to 9 o'clock. And once again, for places in Warner Robins and Dodge County. So for areas within that winter weather advisory, your experience with snow could be a lot more short-lived than places farther towards the northeast. So there is a potential that you'll see a brief period of light snow and flurries that could last 30 minutes or maybe an hour. But places farther towards the northeast, they have a higher chance of seeing snow for a longer period of hours. So potentially throughout most of the morning and throughout the afternoon. And what about East Lawrence? So, yeah, East Lawrence would have a higher chance of seeing decent snowfall, so an inch to 3 inches. Milledgeville, yes, an inch to 3 inches, even potentially higher amounts if best case scenario happens. So certainty is high that you're going to see an inch to 3 inches in Milledgeville. Milledgeville is one of those places where the forecast is a slam dunk for those areas. We're expecting snow, a decent amount of snow for Milledgeville. Cochrane. So Cochrane could potentially see half an inch to an inch of snow. Irwinton, I know Irwinton is around central Wilkinson. So Irwinton would have a better chance of seeing accumulating snow, so up to 1 inch to 3 inches in Irwinton. So I think that's going to be the end of the stream, especially as we're around 2:30. But don't worry, Ben Jones, he's going to be back later today, later tonight specifically, at around 9 o'clock. He's going to answer more questions on Facebook. And then I think we're going to do more streams tomorrow morning, especially before the event. I mentioned that we're forecasting the snow to begin right around 8 to 9 o'clock. So I know we're going to be on air. We may do some streams with Facebook around that time as well. But hopefully you have a better understanding on what's going to go on throughout this upcoming weekend. It's very compact because we have to deal with snow and then extreme cold. But hopefully you had a grasp of the forecast. So hopefully you have a great day and stay safe throughout the weekend.